been a school teacher, a professor, a journalist, but he's found his real passion in helping educators and parents and students learn what it takes to be an effective reader and, more important, to be a motivated reader. So once again, we're very pleased to have Danny, to host Danny here at AUC. If you will give him a round of applause.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Can everybody give Dr. Thomas Wolsey a big round of applause for being here. Plus, I'm here because of the Graduate School of Education. You received a packet of materials from them, and they've just done an amazing job. So make sure to give a round of applause to the Graduate School of Education. And finally, most importantly, you made the trip to come here tonight, and I'm so appreciative. So give yourselves a big round of applause for making it here tonight. Not as big of a round of applause for yourselves. You can applaud yourselves more. So we're going to call this the 3 secrets to reading better, or how to get your kid to love reading in under 3 months without having to bribe your kid or spend a fortune on a tutor. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so everybody stand up right now. I always get my students up to move. So, I was in Japan recently. Bowing to mean what's up. Bowing to mean I'm sorry. Bowing to mean I have great respect for you. So we're all going to learn how to bow Japanese style right now. So I will give you 5 seconds to get a partner. Go. Oh, well, we'll see. No, we got a loaner here. Here, you get a partner. Good. Get a partner. You got people. Choose from the thousands of people that aren't on the camera right now. There's thousands of people back there. You can't even tell. All right, a couple of things that you need to know. Gentlemen, the way we bow is we put our arms at our sides like so. Ladies, the way you all bow is with your hands over your laps like so. Now, when you bow, it is very important to keep your back perfectly straight. And have any of you ever seen the original Karate Kid movie? Look eye. Always look eye. Also, whoever's younger, you have to hold your bow a little bit longer out of respect to your elder. I'll let you determine who's older right now. All right, so turn to your partner right now. You're going to learn how to bow. Okay, now, when you want to say hello to a person, you do a 15-degree bow. It looks something like this. Everybody do the hello bow to your partner right now. All right, now some of you are going to learn this the hard way. It's a good idea for the two of you to separate yourselves, because as these bows progress, your foreheads could be moving. Now, when you want to show respect to a person, you do a 30-degree bow. It looks something like this. Everybody do the respect bow to your partner. Look eye! Always look eye! Now, when you want to show ultimate respect to a person, you do a 45-degree bow and you hold it for an entire second. It looks something like this. Everybody do the ultimate respect bow to your partner.
Like your foreheads.
All right, and when you find out the person standing across from you took time out of their busy schedule to attend a lecture on a Wednesday night, you get on your knees and you bow to that person like so. Everybody give yourselves a big hand. You may sit down. Say hi to the folks around you. Tell them how good they look. Excellent, good. These are your peeps, your people. Now, I don't know if you know this, I'm actually not Japanese. I'm actually American. I don't know if you figured that out. So, in America, we don't bow, we shake hands. So, Dr. Wolsey and I are going to show you a couple of secret handshakes you can teach each other. So, the first one is called the bump. So, everybody make a fist. and bump your partner's fist like so. Some of you do it Cairo style, all right? All right, the next one is called the bunny ears. So everybody make your President Nixon V for victory and tap your partner's bunny ears like so. Also makes a good roadside sobriety test. And statistically speaking, 7% of you are drunk right now. Probably even just wandered into the wrong room. All right, finally, we're gonna do the thumb wave. So everybody lock thumbs with your partner and wave with your remaining fingers like so. Thank you, Dr. Wolsey. Give yourselves a big hand. So why do we do these things? I don't think you're ever going to teach a child anything, actually probably any age level, until you get people engaged in that lesson. This is the question I always ask teachers. What good is it teaching a kid how to read if they never want to read? You know, I see schools doing a pretty decent job teaching kids how to read, but kids don't want to read. That's my specialty, is teaching kids why to read so that they actually want to do it. Because the more they do it, the better they get. The higher your interest level, the better you comprehend whatever it is that you're reading. So I always like to get to know everybody in the room. So turn to the attractive people beside you right now. And again, if you see a person look at you and look away, you ain't looking so good this evening. And say hi to a couple of strangers. Take about 6 seconds to do that. Go. All right, and so we're going to play a game. This game requires that you get a partner. I will give you 5 seconds to get a partner. Go. And I will give you 4 seconds to determine who is partner A and who is partner B. Go. Partner A, stand up. Partner A, I would like you to look down at partner B, and for the next 11 seconds, please tell partner B what makes you so awesome. Go! Stop! All right, partner B, I need you to look up at partner A and repeat after me. You're amazing.
You're amazing.
Now repeat after me. I want to be just like you someday. Excellent. Partner A, you may sit down. Partner B, stand up. Partner B, I would like you to look down at partner A, and for the next 11 seconds, please tell partner A what makes you so awesome. Go. Stop. All right, partner A, I need you to look up at partner B and repeat after me. What a rock star! Now repeat after me. I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy.
Very good. Everybody sit down and give yourselves a hand. There you go. You're starting to get the hang of this. Excellent. I always say this, no matter what you do, whether you're a student or a parent or a teacher or a custodian, whatever you do, you're always a role model and a teacher. Kids are always watching us, no matter what we are doing. So now you're wondering, who is this guy? Well, my name is Danny Brassell, and I'm on a mission to bring joy back into education. My last name is really easy to remember how to spell. It's spelled like Brassell. No, I never took any grief over that as a child. I want kids to love school. Now, I've taught all age levels, from preschoolers, little ones, to rocket scientists, older ones. I can make that claim because I used to teach English as a second language to engineering students at the University of Southern California. Now, raise your hand if you remember how you learned to read. Okay? Raise your hand if you like to read. All right? Raise your hand if you have a hand. It's late, I gotta find out who's still with me. All right. So by the end of this presentation, I want you to walk away with your head held up high in the sky. I want you to leave here today feeling refreshed. I want you to leave here feeling like you can tackle any challenges that may be presented in your way every day. Are you excited for this presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. Get pumped. And if you can do me a favor, take out your cell phones and turn them on. I don't think we're doing a good enough job of integrating technology in classrooms. And one of the easiest ways to integrate literacy with the 21st century generation is to incorporate social media. So if you're on Instagram and Twitter, it was actually a 5-year-old who taught me how to use these things. I'm old. I used to call these things number signs. Nowadays, they're called hashtags. But if there's anything I'm talking about that resonates with you, my hashtag is Danny Speaks, and the university hashtag is Egypt Reads, so we can publicize to everybody how cool reading can be to everybody. Now, are you ready?
Yes.
Yep. Awesome. Hang on. Here we go. So I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. I don't know many things. For one thing, I don't know how to cook very well. For another, I don't know how to drive very well, and I definitely can't drive the streets of Cairo. But there's one thing I actually do know how to do, and that's how to get kids to read more, read better, and love reading, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I've never had to tell a child, go watch TV. I've never had to tell a child, go play a video game. And I never want to tell a child, go read a book. I want them to constantly look at books as something that rewards them, something that they actually want to do. But too many kids, they feel like they're poor readers. They struggle with reading because somebody, often at school, told them they weren't a very good reader. And so they don't want to read. And unless they read, the more and more they fall behind people that are reading. And it's tough for us as parents, too. Us parents are always doing whatever we can to help our children succeed. You know, we'll give the kids tutoring programs, we'll pay for them to be in learning centers, but most of these programs usually just give the kids tests and drill and kill exercises, which is part of the reason the kid doesn't like to read in the first place. So any parent will spend as much time and money as possible to help their child succeed. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You know, but there's got to be a better way. So everybody take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. It doesn't have to be that hard. Egypt is at a critical juncture in its history. This is a very young country. Over 50% of the population is under the age of 24. Now is the time for Egypt to become a world leader again. And the way you're going to do that is by getting into reading. You know, the way we do that is by helping parents. So I have a program that helps parents. It helps teachers. It helps schools get those kids to read more, read better, and love reading every day. There's lots of people that don't want you to succeed, by the way. You know, it's not in the interest of the big shots for little people to do better at reading. You know, we want you to read better, though. I want you to just imagine yourself right now, 10 years from now, highly successful as a reader. What do you want the next generation to view you as? Take a moment, think about that. What do you see in the future for Egypt? What do you see in the future for yourself? I want you thinking about the Egypt that you're going to create, because if you don't envision it now, it can't happen. But I believe thoughts are things. We can make good things happen. You know, all parents want to see their kids improve. We want to see that growth all the time, and that's what I love to do. You got to remember, folks, there's lots of you at different stages here. Some of you, maybe you've tried a whole bunch of things with your kids or with yourself to read better. Maybe some of you have never tried anything, maybe some of you have tried just a little. It's all right, because I've worked with all different levels to get them excited about reading. So my goal tonight is to show you how to make reading into a daily habit. And the only way I know how to make it into a daily habit habit is the Read Better in 67 Steps program, where every day, for 67 consecutive days, I show you an idea on how to get you and your child excited about reading. Why 67 days? Well, a lot of people say it takes 21 days to change a habit. To those people, I say, show me the research. It's a completely bogus number. I know exactly where the number comes from. It's from a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. It was written in 1960 by a plastic surgeon named Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Dr. Maltz, in the preface of the book, said he observed it took most of his patients about 21 days to get used to their new face. Well, a lot of very important people took that number and started publishing it takes 21 days to change a habit without any research whatsoever. Well, scientists in 2009 actually did a habit study formation, and they found it took anywhere from 18 to 254 days to change a habit, and the average was 66 days. I don't like the number 66, so I'm throwing in a bonus for you. So 67 days. 67 days to get you excited about reading. All right, I'm going to save you lots of time, I'm going to save you lots of money, and I'm going to save you lots of agony by making it real simple for you. So this is me when I was a kid. I was a mischievous child who hated reading.
Because you had a good smile.
Thank you. I got far with my smile in life. Very good.
That is very simple.
You know, I always hated reading growing up. My father's a librarian, and I never liked libraries. I always watched movies and TV shows. And it wasn't until I became a teacher in a very poor city, and I saw that most of my students didn't have a mother and a father like I did at home. Most of my students didn't have books around them at home. And most of my students certainly didn't have people in front of them, reading in front of them constantly and reading to them constantly. And I began to feel ashamed of myself. I was very blessed. I had a lot of advantages that I see a lot of kids don't have. But it doesn't take a lot to help those kids succeed. Because I've learned over the last 25 years some basic things that we can do to help any child get excited about reading. So, we're going to play a game. Everybody stand up right now. Yep, you got to stand and sit during this presentation. I'm not going to make it boring. All right, and so what I'd like you to do is fold your arms across your chest. All right, which arm is on top? All right, now I want you to fold your arms again, but this time I want you to do it with the other arm on top. How does that feel? I bet you feel a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable. And I'll tell you right now, everything I'm going to talk about tonight is going to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to doing it that way. We've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The way we make progress is by doing things differently, not the same. The things that we do the same are the same things that got us in trouble. You may sit down. Give yourselves a big hand. Good job, okay? So I'm going to give you the 3 secrets to reading better. May I give you the first secret?
Yes.
Let me ask that another way. May I give you the first secret?
Yes.
All right. The first secret to reading better is this. Reading should always be fun. Everybody say that.
Reading should always be fun.
You know, when I was in first grade, my first grade teacher, Sister Teresa, gathered all of us first graders on the reading carpet, and she read to us a book. The book was called Millions of Cats by Wanda Gag. It was written in the 1920s, I think, when my first grade teacher was a teenager. And I'll never forget this book, because she came to a point in the book where she read aloud, hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats. And this is what us first graders did. Ah! She scared the heck out of us. I will never forget this book because of that teacher. Well, many years later, when I became a teacher, I realized, oh, that was good teaching. It's stuck in my head. I remember it. I don't believe in traumatizing children and scaring them. But I do believe in getting students to remember information. I know how to do it, so everybody echo me. Hundreds of cats.
Hundreds of cats.
Thousands of cats.
Thousands of cats.
Millions and billions and trillions of cats.
Millions and billions and trillions of cats.
Okay, this time we'll do it based on volume. We'll go whisper. Normal voice, loud voice. 1, 2, ready, go. Hundreds of cats. Thousands of cats. Millions and billions and trillions of cats. Okay, this time we'll do it like opera singers. 1, 2, ready, go. Hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats. See what we just did? We just took what could have been really boring and we made it interesting. Always make reading fun. That's how you get kids excited about it and remembering. I'm giving you the golden ticket to reading better. So can I give you some ideas to get kids excited about reading?
Yes.
All right, so reading necklaces, if you go to a store, you can usually get a bead kit for about $20. And I used to give my kids plastic necklaces, and every time they read for 20 minutes, I'd give them a bead, you know. So the more beads they would be like, oh, you are very wise, you have many beads. Green light goes. So I used to have green stickers, yellow stickers, and red stickers. Every time a kid read a book and they liked the book, they would put a green sticker in the front of the book. If it was a so-so book, they would put a yellow sticker. If it was a bad book, they put a red sticker. Once a book gets 5 red stickers, we'd have a funeral for that book and donate it to the principal. Good readers need to be picky readers. Read to a stuffed animal. I had a little girl, Isabel. She came to me from Guatemala, and for 2 weeks she didn't say a single word. And so finally one day I gave her a teddy bear, and I said, Isabel, this teddy bear doesn't know how to read. Can you teach him how to read? 10 minutes later, I hear Isabel for the first time. Now granted, the book I gave Isabel was in English, and she was reading it aloud in Spanish, but baby steps. There goes Isabel going, Había una vez. Había una vez. Kids like being the teacher. Let kids be the teacher. Australian Pete and Company. My students used to get bored with me all the time. So I'd say, you know what? You're not listening to me. I'm going to go get Australian Pete to come read to you. I'd leave the classroom. I'd come back in saying, good day, mate. Just got done putting a shrimp on the barbie. Your teacher said you want me to read to you. Kids like, yeah, it's Australian Pete. It's me. You know, you got to get those kids pumped up. Choral reads. Choral reads are a great way to get everybody involved. So we're going to do a choral read right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the room. So this side of the room, I want you to read aloud this side of the ghost story. This side of the room, I want you to read aloud this side of the ghost story. And there's these things in English called punctuation marks. It means you change the tone of your voice. Let's see how good we are at reading this. All right, let's see.
Night was dark.
Excellent.
I walked up to a dark house. And knocked on the dark door. Hello, I said. No one answered. But this is Halloween.
That was the lamest ghost I've ever heard in my life. That was so British. And I became a ghost. I was quite frightened. Let's try that like Americans. And this time after you all say ghost, I should see a wet spot here from where I peed my pants. All right, so let's start with I opened it.
I opened it.
And out came
Dark ghost.
I give up. My goodness. Come on, Egypt. All right. So this is Michael. This is Michael. He was a third grader, a 10-year-old boy who was at the bottom of his class in Los Angeles, and he went through my reading program. And here's the thing that's amazing about Michael. Within 2.5 months of the program, he went from the bottom of the class to the top of his class in reading. Here's what's amazing. His mother doesn't speak a word of English. He did the program on his own without any help from his mom. Anybody can do this program, even the kids can do the program. A lot of you are like, well, I don't know if that'll work for me. Well, it's actually worked with over 35,000 students worldwide, and we're looking at different ways of, right now the program's in English and Spanish, and I would love to create it in Arabic as well. Let me help you help your child read more, read better, and love reading. Would you like to know the second secret to reading better?
Yes.
Excellent. Here it is. It doesn't matter what you read. What matters is how much you read. Everybody say that.
It doesn't matter what you read. What matters is how much you read.
You know, they say time is money. No, time is much more valuable than money. You can make more money all the time. You cannot make more time. We need to do it now because we're wasting time otherwise. You know, we need to get those kids excited about reading. And the best way we have found to do that is to get the kids reading at home. Now, some of you came the other night and I was showing this, and I'm going to show it again. Harvard did a study. Whenever I cite research, I always say that Harvard did the study. It sounds much more legitimate that way. So Harvard did a study. They looked at reading scores around the world and they tried to find common patterns, and they found one. The number of minutes spent reading outside of school. They looked at the low kids, the average kids, and the high kids. They found something startling. The kids at the bottom of the class averaged less than a minute a day of reading at home every single day. That's not a surprise. That's probably why they're at the bottom of the class. But look at this one. The kids in the middle of the class, the average students, they average just under 10 minutes a day of reading outside of school. This is when a lot of parents will raise a hand and say, you're saying if I can get my kid to read 10 minutes a day outside of school, I can take them from the bottom of the class to the middle of the class? That's exactly what the research shows us. But this is even more impressive. The kids at the top of the class, the highest performing students, how much time do they spend reading outside of school? Just over 20 minutes a day. My entire goal in life is to show you 20 minutes, how to get those 20 minutes every single day to get your kid excited about reading. It all depends on focus. So everybody stand up right now. Focus is everything. All right, so I would like you all to put your arms on your sides like so. Lift up a leg and close your eyes. See if you can bounce, see if you can bounce. Close your eyes, you gotta close your eyes. All right, how's that feel?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. All right, no, stay standing. I want you to do the exact same thing, but this time instead of closing your eyes, I want you to look directly at me and see if you can keep your balance that way.
Just one side, one side.
I got my microphone. Is that easier? When you focus, that is when you succeed. We got to get those kids focused. You may sit down. Excellent job. Good job, Danny. So, I just got back from India. I was teaching the kids in India, and one of the best ways I've always taught kids is by singing. When I first started teaching, the original Lion King movie had just come out. And so I used to form what we called our circle of life every single morning with my students, and we sang every single day. So people always ask me, Danny, Why do you sing so often with students? Well, it's a Harvard medical fact. The human brain has the ability to erase information. For example, what's the largest mammal in the world? How many bones are in the human body? When did Egypt become independent from Great Britain? Okay, so for those of you that need to know, the blue whale is the largest mammal in the world. There's 206 bones in the human body, and Egypt gained its independence from Great Britain in 1922. The British still controlled the Suez after that, but it was 1922. Don't worry about that. Let's see if you can complete any of these. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Old MacDonald had a farm. Let's see if you know this one. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. It's a small world. Yeah, someday you'll have Alzheimer's disease. You won't remember the names of your children, but you'll remember jingles you learned when you were 5 years old. I mean, that's all they had to do to teach the kids the American English alphabet, is just put it to the beat of twinkle, twinkle, little star, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Would you like some more? Yes. All right, everybody stand up. We're going to learn the continents right now. Everybody repeat after me. There are seven.
There are seven.
There are seven.
There are seven.
Continents.
Continents.
Just do the gestures, they'll help you. Continents.
Continents.
Europe, Asia, Africa.
Europe, Asia, Africa.
North and South America.
North and South America.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Australia.
Australia.
Excellent job. Okay, now this next one, this is to teach the kids the seasons of the year. I'll model it and then we'll do it together. Yeah, you stand up. I'll model it, then we'll do it together. So this one goes spring, summer, autumn, and winter, winter, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, winter, spring, and summer. Autumn and winter are the seasons of the year. We can do it in Spanish too. It goes primavera, verano, otoño y invierno. Which language would you prefer?
English.
I want you to consider that if you're ever working with a child and Arabic is their first language. It's not easy trying to figure out things in a second language. You can get headaches and you get nightmares. You start to feel self-conscious. Let's have a little bit of empathy for that kid. By the way, every season has a sign. Spring is a time for growth. Summer is hot. Autumn is also known as fall. And winter is cold. So we'll do it slowly together. 1, 2, ready, go. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter, winter, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, winter, spring, and summer. Autumn and winter are the seasons of the year. One more the kids and I wrote to teach ourselves the parts of a plant. Everybody repeat after me and do the gestures. So this goes flower, leaf, stem.
Flower, leaves, stem.
Roots, there is.
Roots, there is.
Very good. Give yourselves a big hand. You may sit down. Great job, gang. Now some of you might be like, what if I cannot sing very well? Well, then you should always sing in front of your kids. Why? How do we ever expect a child to take a risk if you're not willing to take a risk? You know, I'm a horrible singer. Terrific dancer, but a horrible singer. So I sing and dance in front of my children all the time. I'm a horrible artist, so I constantly draw in front of my kids. You know, and inevitably on the first day of school, I misspell a word on the board, And some annoying student's like, Mr. Brassell, you misspelled a word. I'm like, yeah, this is a game I'm gonna play all year long to make sure you're paying attention. Which word was it? All right. All of us can sing, but if you're too self-conscious to sing, you can always start with chants, all right? So we'll do our days of the week. So everybody repeat after me and do the gestures. Sunday.
Sunday,
Monday.
Monday,
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday.
Friday,
Saturday.
Saturday,
The days of the week. Excellent, okay. Ahora en español. Domingo.
Domingo,
Lunes.
Lunes,
Martes, miércoles, jueves.
martes, miércoles, jueves,
Viernes.
viernes,
Sábado.
sábado,
Los días de la semana.
los días de semana.
Just did. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now we'll do it in gibberish since you did that. You see, reading should always be fun. This is how you get the kids excited about reading. This is Angela, who was a principal, and she taught at a school. She had a school full of people that wouldn't do anything. So she brought me in to do my program to teach the teachers how to get students engaged. You don't get people excited about learning by just lecturing to them all day long. You know, don't confuse teaching with learning. You know, if you're just telling people information, that's just exposing them to information. Real learning is when you remember it. I've never had a person 6 months after a talk say, you know what I remember about your talk, Danny? Was that one PowerPoint slide with 25 bullet points that you couldn't read? But people remember songs. People remember whenever they interact with one another. People remember stories. And so I'm trying to model for you the way we have to model reading for students to get them engaged. A lot of you are like, well, maybe that works for Angela, but it won't work for me. Actually, it will work for you. I've actually trained thousands of schools how to get kids engaged in reading. You know, people are like, oh, maybe it's too expensive. No, it's not expensive at all. You know what? To me, the only good program is a program that gets used. And one of the reasons I came to Egypt is there's 26 million kids in Egypt that need to read a lot more. I think Egypt is on the cusp of something amazing. There's an incredible opportunity, and it can either be successful or it can drop to the bottom of the planet. It's up to you, and that's why I love being here at AUC. And you are the one that's going to have to do it. It starts with you. The kids are looking at you. So would you like to know the third secret? All right. You are what you read, so read good stuff. Everybody say that.
You are what you read, so read good stuff.
If you want to be a happy person, you should read about happy things. If you want to be a miserable person, just read about the news. All right. I always have told my faculty and staff, I'm looking for thermostats, not thermometers. What's the difference? Thermometers take the temperature. Thermostats set the temperature. I'm always trying to create a climate that gets you excited about learning. So raise your hand if you've ever had one of those days. Raise your hand if you ever feel like getting pumped up. Raise your hand if you ever feel overwhelmed. Excellent. So when you came in tonight, you should have received a packet, and in that packet, I don't have one with me. Do we have a packet? In that packet, good. Thank you. In the packet, you'll find this sheet. Make sure you fill out this sheet with your name and information, because there's a whole bunch of free stuff I want to give you. First of all, I'm going to give all of you a free copy of my book, Read, Lead, and Succeed, which is a book once a week for the rest of your life. I'm going to give you a positive idea, a positive quote, a positive story, a book recommendation on a book all you should read, but you're probably too lazy to read it because you're adults. So I also give you a children's picture book recommendation that also demonstrates the same concept. The world's getting way too negative, folks. We need to keep you positive. I can get you positive tonight, but motivation is a lot like bathing. It's temporary. That's why we suggest you do it regularly. I'm also going to give you not one, but 2 digital trainings, the same trainings that I do with parents to get them excited to get their kids about reading. And better than that, also you got all those great materials from the Graduate School of Education. And it's really cool, since I came here, the Graduate School of Education said that they're putting together a whole packet of materials of great free stuff for you from all of their professors. So isn't that a pretty good deal? Excellent. So just make sure you fill out those sheets, and before you leave, make sure you put them here when you leave so we have all of those available. You know, Will Hobbs, any of you ever read a book by Will Hobbs? He's one of the best-selling young adult authors on the planet. He writes books that are especially popular with teenage boys. And before Will became a best-selling author, he was my 7th grade reading teacher in Durango, Colorado. And Will was the guy that got me interested in reading for the first time. He had 5,000 books in his classroom. And every day at the beginning of class, he would tell us what he was reading, we would tell him what we were reading, and the rest of the 50-minute class period, we read. Whenever we finished a book, we'd go up to Mr. Hobbs, he'd put down his book, look through our book, he'd ask us 3 or 4 questions about the book, and if he was satisfied with our answers, he gave us a point. Every book up to 200 pages is worth 1 point. Every extra 100 pages is worth another point. You needed 25 points to get an A, and the top 5 point totals had their names written on the board. And I wanted my name written on that board. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. 500-page book. 4-point book. Also, an excellent Disney film starring James Mason and Kirk Douglas. I didn't really feel like reading a 500-page book, so I took the book up to Mr. Hobbs. He asked me 4 questions, and I learned a valuable lesson that day. Books ain't always like the movies. And guess what Mr. Hobbs did? He gave me the 4 points. And that's when I learned a great teaching trick. Guilt works. Because I read every word of every book from that day forward. Wound up with 44 points for the semester. I went well above and beyond what I had to do. He used the single greatest strategy I've ever seen a person use to get a person excited about reading. May I share it with you?
Yeah.
He found out what I was excited about, which was football. And at least once a week, he'd give me a book on football and say, hey, Danny, check out this football book. I know you'll like it. What are the odds I open up that book? In my experience with all age levels, 100%. Person might not read the book, but they're going to open it. Also in my experience, by the 4th time I do that with a student, they're going to try and read that book. Because there's nothing more powerful than somebody significant in your life, a coach, a pastor, a professor, a parent, a buddy, saying, you know what, I was thinking of you when I was reading this. You know what? The secret to getting kids to read is to always make reading fun. I want those kids engaged all the time. And the way you get people engaged, you got to give them the right things. You know, reading is a recipe. It's just like anything else. I don't know if you know this. You've got to feed your brain with positive things. And to do that, you need to understand what those positive things are. So, I do a lot of assemblies with middle school students. In the United States, they get tested in April and May. And I always go in before the testing. And I always tell students, you can remember anything if you use your body. You know, the brain likes movement. It's a really easy way to remember information. So I don't know if you know this, but there are 10 essential brain foods that help your brain run at an optimal capacity. Those foods are blueberries, nuts, salmon, broccoli, bananas, yogurt, olive oil, brown bread, spinach, and tomatoes. Now, can you remember all 10 of those if I just give you a list of 10 words? Can you remember them? No, probably not. Probably not. The way you get people to remember information is you incorporate movement. So everybody stand up right now. We're going to remember the 10 essential brain foods. So we'll use our bodies to remember these 10 essential brain foods. So we'll start with blueberries. How about we remember blueberries? We'll say blueberries on the brain. Everybody say blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Great. Now we get to nuts. You're worse than middle school students. All right. Let's remember nuts. We'll say nuts on the shoulders. Everybody say nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Okay, so review. Everybody repeat after me. Blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Next one is salmon. How about we remember salmon in the heart?
Salmon in the heart.
Okay, so review. Blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
How about we do broccoli in the belly?
Broccoli in the belly.
And review. Repeat after me. Blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
Broccoli in the belly.
Broccoli in the belly.
How about we do bananas on the hips? Okay, so let's do blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
Broccoli in the belly.
Broccoli in the belly.
Bananas on the hips.
Bananas on the hips.
How about we do 2 cups of yogurt? Everybody do 2 cups of yogurt. All right, if you're not going to participate, there's no reason to be here. So let's do 2 cups of yogurt.
2 cups of yogurt.
All right, so let's review. Blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
Broccoli in the belly.
Broccoli in the belly.
Bananas on the hips.
Bananas on the hips.
2 cups of yogurt.
2 cups of yogurt.
All right. Olive oil is kind of slippery, so let's all go olive oil.
Olive oil.
All right, and review. Blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
Broccoli in the belly.
Broccoli in the belly.
Bananas on the hips.
Bananas on the hips.
2 cups of yogurt.
2 cups of yogurt.
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
How about we do brown bread?
Brown bread.
All right, and review. Blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
Broccoli in the belly.
Broccoli in the belly.
Bananas on the hips.
Bananas on the hips.
2 cups of yogurt.
2 cups of yogurt.
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
Brown bread.
Brown bread.
Now, I used to teach first graders how to read, and spinach and shin both have a short I sound, but we'll elongate. We'll go spinach on the shins.
Spinach on the shins.
And review. Blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
Broccoli in the belly.
Broccoli in the belly.
Bananas on the hips.
Bananas on the hips.
2 cups of yogurt.
2 cups of yogurt.
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
Brown bread.
Brown bread.
Spinach on the shins.
Spinach on the shins.
And why don't we wrap up with smashing tomatoes?
Smashing potatoes.
One big final review. And blueberries on the brain.
Blueberries on the brain.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Nuts on the shoulders.
Salmon in the heart.
Salmon in the heart.
Broccoli in the belly.
Broccoli in the belly.
Bananas on the hips.
Bananas on the hips.
2 cups of yogurt.
2 cups of yogurt.
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
Brown bread.
Brown bread.
Spinach on the shins.
Spinach on the shins.
Smashing tomatoes. You gotta give yourselves a big hand. Our first question is this. Why? Why get up out of bed? Why go to school? Why read a book? Why play a sport? Why be friends with that person? The answer to the first question is the second question. Why not? Why not get out of bed? Why not go to school? Why not read a book? Why not play a sport? Why not be friends with that person? The third question is even more important. Why not you? Why not get out of bed? You gotta do something. Why not go to school? We know people with an education do much better in life than people without an education. Why not read a book? You want Egypt to become the best country on the planet, you gotta create a nation of readers. There's plenty of readers that aren't leaders, but I've never seen an effective leader that's not also an avid reader. Why not play a sport? More athletically, the more you get your brain moving and operating your body, it's gonna help out your brain and everything else. Why not be friends with that lonely person that nobody else is around? I always tell people, if you want a whole lot of friends, the easiest way to do that is to be a friend. And the fourth question, which is critical for Egypt, is why not now? Now is your time. You have such an amazing opportunity. Do not waste that opportunity. There is so much good to come in this country if you believe. I know I'm supposed to be teaching you about reading, but I'm going to give you a math question I used to always give my students. Here's the question. 5 frogs are on a log. One decides to hop off the log. How many frogs are left on the log? A lot of people say 4. No, the answer is 5. Deciding to hop off the log and actually hopping off the log are 2 different things. I urge you to make the decision, but even more importantly, I want you to take the action and get excited about reading, get those kids excited about reading. Egypt, this is your time. Let's create an Egypt that reads more than anybody else. Remember, no matter what you do, you're always a teacher and a role model. I always end my classes the same way with students, whether I'm teaching my older ones or my little ones. And this is what I always say. Remember, education is valuable, but execution is priceless. Knowledge is not power. Only applied knowledge is power. Knowing what the right thing to do and actually doing the right thing are 2 totally different things. Translation, let's foster a love of reading in everyone in this country. Remember, you make a difference each and every day. Enjoy the journey ahead of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I believe we have a question and answer session. Make sure you fill out those sheets, and if you want books, we have the books on sale in the back. They're at a heavy discount, and the proceeds are going to the bookstore, but I can answer questions right now if you have questions.
How do I make my students read something that's not really interesting?
How do you what?
Make my students read
Policy
something
is the
that's
best policy. You need to train students to understand that there's different types of reading. There's reading for entertainment, there's reading for knowledge and information, and that's a lot of the stuff that we're being told to read. And so the best way you can do that is always by facilitating interesting reading in class and then showing kids, well, here's something that we have to learn, and this is how we do it. But by always at least showing kids that there's a fun way to do it, it makes them, it's like playing a sport. There's nothing fun about doing the drills. But the reason you do the drills is so you can play the game. And so the fun part of reading is reading stuff that you like to read, but every now and then there's stuff that you have to read. Does that answer your question? Is that a good thing? Thank you for the question. Give her a big hand for asking the question. We always celebrate the risk takers. Yes?
Why did you choose to read why did you choose to teach reading, not any other subject?
I didn't really choose to teach reading. It kind of chose me. I taught different age levels, and when I became a tutor, I was the only man that was tutoring at the tutor center, and they found a lot of boys especially wanted me to teach them. And what I realized is it wasn't that I was a very good teacher, it's just the kid needed a role model. There wasn't, and this is why I'm happy that there's some guys here. Usually the girls are fine. It's the boys that are screwed up. And so it was really important to me to be a role model because I taught in a community. My first 3 years teaching, I never met a father. And I realized I might be the only male authority figure in a lot of these kids' lives. And I took that very, very seriously. I'll tell you something, a lot of people don't know this, and it's kind of one of the reasons I'm in Egypt. The literacy rate for women is 20% lower in this country than for men. So it's weird. Egypt has a different problem. The women aren't being taught to read. And so one of my little goals is I want the women to pass the men in this country. Because I really see that the women are where the future's at. And you just see so much of that. But it's interesting, nobody's ever asked me that question. I never really chose to teach reading, but I became kind of angry that a lot of my boys, because it's usually the boys that struggle, and I was just kind of angry that the boys, nobody was teaching them a fun way to read. Because it's just basic things. If the kid only wants to read about football, let him read about football. The little boy that reads about football is going to be a better reader than the little boy that's not reading anything. You know, and so that's kind of what I would do that with anybody. If I had seen my kids struggling in math, I probably would have been a math teacher. That's a good question, though. Everybody give her a hand for that question. I appreciate it. Good. Another question? Yes, ma'am.
What do you do when people discourage you because you're a slow reader? Like everybody tells me that I finish a book in days and months, so what do I do?
Here's my card. Tell them to call me and I will tell them to shut it. That drives me nuts.
Thank you.
That drives me nuts.
Because it makes me depressed, that makes me doesn't want to read.
Exactly. There are so many schools that love to discourage kids. You know, there was a little boy named Thomas, and his teacher said he's too stupid to learn anything, and so he had to drop out of school, and he only went home to school with his mother. His mother taught him. The little boy was Thomas Edison, who invented more inventions in America than anybody in history. I'm always amazed how we give up on kids so early. What a waste. You know, I became a teacher because I'm like, I would love to be the teacher that tells you, you know what, I don't care what they say. I think you're going to be the first woman prime minister of Egypt. I believe that. Because you start telling a person something enough, they start to believe it themselves. I want you always to remember, all of you remember that. Every day we have a choice. We can be Ben Kenobi or we can be Darth Vader. Be the light, not the darkness. There we go. Great question. Thank you for that. Don't ever let anybody, and I'll tell you why. I went to 18 schools before I was in 6th grade. They called me stupid my entire life because I stuttered. I had a speech impediment. And finally I went to a school where one teacher, she sat me down and she would sing to me all the time. And I would sing back, and I never had my stutter when I sang. And eventually I lost the stutter. And isn't it interesting? Many, 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 many years later, I get paid a lot of money to go around the world to do what? Speak. So don't ever let anybody tell you what you're seeing out here. Any other questions? One question, yes, sir.
Hi, Dan. My very interesting and insightful actually on the executive level.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Very interesting what you're doing.
Thank you.
Very insightful actually. I'm an instructor actually on the executive level, and
let's have you
I'm an
separate.
instructor here at the AEC on the executive level. I do teach business, banking, and things like this, and I can relate to a lot of things that you are doing here, not only on the children level, but also even on the executive level.
Good.
And I would like just to share with you what exactly are the common points that could be applied in my area, like your area,
Yeah.
from your point of view, of course. I find a lot that's very common, but I would like to hear from you as well.
Yeah, so he's kind of interested because he teaches executives, and what's the crossover between executives and little kids? And I always say this to people, is I learned that what works with adults doesn't always work with little kids, but what works with little kids works with all age levels. That my book, when I started reading, when I started reading children's picture books to executives, all of a sudden executives started reporting to me that their meetings were much livelier and much better attended because they would start the meeting with like a Dr. Seuss picture book or a Roald Dahl story or something like that. Everything that I'm teaching you, movement, this is something that most executives aren't training, but the ones that do things like this do pretty well. If you look at the companies that are always the companies that people want to work for, the environment that they're creating is a lot of this. It's like, you know, Pixar does all those movies, the Disney movies, and what they're doing is they're creating a childlike environment. You know, maybe it doesn't work at the government level, but maybe that's the problem with government. People are too stuffy. You know, maybe we need to get them all. I actually was just reading an interview with an American general who was the general in charge of the war in Afghanistan, and he said his biggest mistake being general was that he didn't go out on a trip with the president, vice president, and the secretary of defense. He should have gone on a camping trip with them for a week. And I thought, that's absolutely right. Because when you spend a week with each other and you eat meals together and you play sports or whatever, you start to learn what motivates each other. And a lot of decisions would have been better off if they knew each other, but they acted like strangers. And so that's kind of one of the things I love about kids is they play together. They don't know they're not supposed to play together. And kids do pretty well. We can learn a lot from kids. I did it the wrong way. I started off with teaching adults, and I made my way down to the little kids. But what made me a better teacher was teaching the little kids. Because adults will let you get away with being boring for 2 hours. I cannot be boring for 2 hours with a 5-year-old kid. Because they'll be, you know, this is what I love about little kids versus adults. I can ask my little kids, what's 2 plus 2? And they'll say, 4, 7, I got a dog. And then all of a sudden they all start talking about dogs. And then the kid says, I got 2 dogs, I got 3, I got a cat, I went to Disneyland. And all of a sudden I'm like, what is going on in here? But I love it. They're all engaged all the time. So that's something that we can definitely learn at an executive level. How do we take ourselves a lot less seriously and enjoy one another's company? Is that helpful to you? Thank you very much. Give him a big hand for his question. I appreciate that. We'll take one more question, you can get out of here, or if there's 0 questions, it's okay. Any other questions? Hey, thank you so much for making the time for me. Enjoy your education here at AUC. It's a beautiful, beautiful university. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. One more hand for Dr. Danny.
Go, Brian.
He's learning Arabic. Arabic, right?
You didn't know I'm not Arabic?
I thought you were Japanese, Danny. Can you pop your slide back one with the QR code? Especially for those of you that might be at the, watching this on the Zoom link, watching this on the live stream, you don't have the paper form, but you can do the QR code, where you go to freereadingtraining.com, find the contact link. Be sure to put in GSC or AUC for American University in Cairo, so that we know which package to deliver to you. Thank you all for coming.
Good, thank you. Oh, and I can do pictures and anything. if anybody wants.
Come down and
Yeah.
Okay.
Mungkin this pakai apa nih?
Yep, there we go.
Look at
One right, and your left, and your left. And your right, and your left. Come on, we're gonna be Rockettes. There we go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. Enjoy this. Don't let anybody put you down. They don't have that right. They only have the right to put you up. Don't remember that. You forget it, call me.